How badly can globalization hurt us? This is our presentation for Team 3. Globalization can be a positive force, but it also has a lot of negative connotations attached to it. For this presentation, we're going to showcase three main points that show the negative impact of globalization. These are pollution, societal problems, and abuse of vulnerability.
Global pollution and plunder. At what cost are we willing to justify this? Globalization has increased the scale of trade. From 2004, there's been a 4% increase in sea trade and a 12% increase in air trade annually. As a result, greenhouse gases are projected to increase by 30% between 2007 and 2020. Developing countries are focused on developing, so are more willing to abuse their natural resources for opportunity instead of going for long-term development. An example of this is with the growth of genetically modified soy in Argentina, where the amount of output from Argentina has exceeded that of the United States. Local investors pushed to grow so much soy that there were not enough crops to sustain the local population. This graph shows the output of soy from various countries. The red line is the US's output, and the green line is Argentina's. Please note that the US has 3 times the area of Argentina, 8 times the population, and 31 times the GDP. Yet Argentina's production exceeds the US's. Due to a lack of financial incentive to grow local staple crops, large companies prefer the higher margin soy products. As a result, there's not enough production of staple crops such as grain, potatoes, and milk to meet the local demand, and as a result, locals go hungry. The next major issue is societal problems, and the question you should be asking yourself is, can we instill the right policies and mindsets to counter these? Human capital becomes scarcer where it is already scarce and more abundant where it is already abundant, contributing to large inequalities between countries. For example, many countries face shortages of qualified doctors and nurses. The Philippines are an example where more than 200 hospitals closed between 2002 and 2007 due to 100,000 doctors and nurses leaving. This trend will increase because the number of international migrants increased from 75 million in 1960 to 190 million in 2005, or at about the same pace as world population increased. Here, orange countries show a net loss of labor as people emigrate. The red countries show a serious shortage of medical staff. Note the large amounts of overlapping countries between this and the prior graph. Integration issues. This includes discrimination ranging from asking a third-generation minority where they're from to outright discrimination. The formation of subcommunities like Chinatown and Little Italy can contribute to the fracturing of society, and the appropriate accepting mindset is required to ensure that these subcommunities are viewed as a positive instead of being labeled disruptive. As an extreme example, in 2008, children of minority in France hid from police in a substation because they did not want to get stopped and consequently were electrocuted. This incident sparked widespread outrage among groups of visible minorities as they shared the same fear of authority. There is domestic job loss while there are far more jobs being created outside the developed world. Unemployed people face many problems. There's a loss of lifestyle, and heavily specialized workers cannot transfer their skills easily. There are major commitments like re-education, but they're expensive, time-consuming, and do not ensure a job afterwards, and even relocating for a new job can disrupt entire families. The third major issue is the abuse of vulnerability. The question you should be asking yourself here is, who will protect people as globalization widens the power gap? The first point concerns international cigarette companies in developing countries. This is a cigarette package from a developed country where most of the package contains a warning. This is what packaging in China looks like. There are no warnings. Developed countries try to decrease the consumption of such products through warnings and public policy. In Canada, 75% of packaging space has to contain a warning of health dangers from said activities. Developing countries are not protecting citizens in the same way as the developed ones, and as a result, the World Health Organization estimates that of the 10 million tobacco-related deaths over the next 20 years, 70% will be in developing countries. International companies can economically abuse those in developing countries for items in high demand. An example are blood diamonds. In places like Angola, Liberia, and Sierra Leone, the sale of diamonds were often used to finance wars and have resulted in numerous deaths, as well as war-torn countries. The situation was so bad that the UN had to step in and introduce the Kimberley Process Certification Scheme, which was established in 2003 to prevent conflict diamonds from entering the mainstream rough diamond market. Organizations can now spread harmful or dangerous messages easier, faster, and to larger audiences. This includes not only extremist groups like the neo-Nazi Party, but even mainstream politicians. George Bush justified the invasion of Iraq utilizing media outlets to boost his approval ratings. Only 27% of Americans opposed military action at the time, and not only did Bush gain local support, but his justifications earned him NATO support as well. What was the end result? No weapons of mass destruction were found. This picture further illustrates the end result of the Iraqi invasion. The red slice shows the deaths from 9/11. The green portion illustrates how globalization has made it possible for Bush to be responsible for so many people's lives. Globalization is a blunt tool to increase scale. It alone cannot be used to solve problems, and in fact creates many problems of its own. As we have shown, globalization is a significant factor in trade pollution, environmental plunder, brain drain, outsourcing and poor integration into society, abuse of health, economics, and technology. The question you must ask yourself is, can the 4 team provide evidence that globalization has not played a critical role in hurting people in the way we have described?